Shabbat Shalom. We will begin in just a few moments. One, one, two, two. 1122. Just doing a sound test. The mic is feeding back a little. There we go. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. Friday evening, Shabbat. It was a spectacular fall day. The colors were vibrant, the sun was shining, it was warm, but a great way to begin Shabbat. And so we'll begin as we ask Jesse to light our Shabbat candles. Page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As our brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlikneh shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. We turn together to page 10 and join in Hine Ma Tov. How wonderful it is that we gather together, and whether we're gathering together in person as we'd like, or we are gathered together as we are tonight via Zoom, we are together. And so it is great to see and hear and see all of your comments. So if you haven't said Shabbat Shalom in the chat, enter a Shabbat greeting, say hello, and let's join in Hine Ma Tov. How beautiful, how wonderful it is when we get to be together.
Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Page 20. It is hard sometimes to get ourselves into that Shabbat frame of mind, to leave behind the struggles of the week, the challenges, the political strife that we see on our televisions. And it's hard to shut all of that off, and even for a few moments, even for the time when we're together for Shabbat services, to leave those aside, to leave all of those struggles and all of those issues and problems and things facing us the rest of the week, to jump into this space, this island of time called Shabbat. And our ancient rabbis understood how hard that was. And they understood that we couldn't just do it passively, that we had to go out of our way to welcome Shabbat. And so as we turn to Lecha Dodi, we go out of our way to welcome the Sabbath bride, to welcome this bride into our midst, and metaphorically, each and every Shabbat we reenact that unique and special relationship between the people of Israel and God.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekava. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekava. Shamor v'zachor v'diborecha, בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי קלה בלי קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת לקראת קלה, בני שבת לקבלה.
As we turn together to page 24 and join in Shalom Aleichem, may peace be on you, and during these challenging times, that is a wonderful, wonderful greeting. A greeting that says, may peace be on you. May you and your family have peace and health and happiness. Shalom Aleichem, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And on the following page, we join in Chatzik Kaddish.
Yitkadav, Yitkadash Merabah.
Amen.
Ve'almad yivarach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'chayedecho bet Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'vizman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevorach, ve'olam olam me'amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shemei Kudasham richu, leila min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, imaru, amen.
And on page 28, we join in Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed. On the following page, we join in Ma'ariv Aravim as we thank God for the mysterious creations of the constellations and the sun and the moon and the stars. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, v'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv, Aravim. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv, Aravim. Everlasting love you have offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. We turn to page 34 and join in Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Yirod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
And on the following page, we continue with Va'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher nochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'leftecha v'aderech u'shachbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele, Adonai imloch leolam vaed. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, okei hayam lifnei Moshe. Zelianu ve'amru, Zelianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch leolam vaed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele, Adonai imloch leolam vaed.
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, v'golo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu el kol amo Yisrael.
Page 45. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. As we thank God for the continued blessings we have and the opportunity that we have to celebrate Shabbat. V'shamru, page 44.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
As together we turn to page 46 for the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open our lips, that our mouths may declare your praise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chazdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei bneihem, l'ma'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atarav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim berofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayeh memunato, lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, ונאמנת לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Days pass, and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we didn't know it. Page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, we, your people Israel, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, in whom alone we serve in reverence.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, Be'amecha Yisrael, U'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel, U'tehi l'ratzon, Tamhir avodat Yisrael, Yisrael amecha, karov lecho, korav penei, el avadecha lechaneinu, shefach ruach aleinu, v'techezena eineinu, meshuvecha leTzion, berachamim. Baruch atah Adonai, המחזיר שכינתו לציון, לציון, לציון.
Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health, and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה משלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
We take a few moments. We leave aside our prayer books, our sacred texts, and we look inward. Inward to those prayers, those thoughts and conversations with God that are in our hearts and in our minds. As we contemplate the beauty of the world around us on a day like today, it is hard not to feel a sense of gratitude to the one who created it all. And yet we often have struggles. We have struggles and questions of why there is so much sickness and strife and complications in our world. And so we take a few moments and engage in those private conversations with God.
Yihu l'ratzon imrefi, Yihu l'ratzon imrefi, Legion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart, be acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom imramam, uyasi shalom
We turn now together to page 253 as we think of all of those who are ill and in need of healing. And we think of all those who have been stricken and fighting our COVID-19 virus. All those whose families struggle alongside them. Our medical professionals whose job it is to keep us healthy and safe, and who too struggle. And we think of all those in our lives, in our friends, our family, who need our blessings, who need our energy of healing to help support them and care for them in this difficult time. And so we send our blessings and our energy of healing to Lisa Chinsky, Joan Harf, Frances Miller, Emily Bostwick, Fran Porras, Carol Love, Ruth Wadley, Kevin Hicks, Sandra French, Michael Brumberger, Sean Brumberger, Richard Sharon, Debbie Perry, Judy Bodner, Holly Arison, Eric Perry, Judith Goldman, Myrna Urkov, Scott Gordon, Ava Dakar, Dane Marcinowski. And if you have other names that you would like to add, please add them into our chat box so that we can direct those energies of healing to all those who need. Say their names out loud, whatever you're comfortable doing, as we join together in our prayer for healing, page 253.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yishebera imotenu mekor habracha leamotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. This week, I wanted to spend a little time actually studying Torah. Sometimes we talk about current events, sometimes we talk about things going on in the world. This week, I wanted to talk about Torah. Last week was Bereshit, our first story of the Torah. So last week, we created the world, we created people. People were in the Garden of Eden, and what did they do? They bit the apple. And soon enough, God said, okay, now that you've tasted the fruit of knowledge, both knowledge of good and knowledge of evil, time that you grow up and go into the world and start making those choices for yourselves. So into the world they went. And no sooner did they do that than we hear the story of the Tower of Babel, of people trying to do things that were just beyond what people should do. And now this week, we come to the story of Noah. Now you've all probably heard the story before. I'm not spoiling it for anybody, I hope. It's a good book if you haven't read it, by the way. Ba-dum-bum. So the story of Noah begins with the most remarkable text. It says, Ele toldot Noach. These are the generations of Noah. In other words, we're going to introduce Noah as a character. We're going to learn something about Noah. Noach, ish tzaddik. Noah was a righteous man. Now, how do you know the word tzaddik from the word tzedakah, to give. And sometimes we think of tzedakah as a nice thing to do. But it's actually righteous. It's part of who we are. It's part of our obligations as Jewish people to give tzedakah, to give justly to others who need. And so the text talks about Noah as being this righteous man. Except it has a little bit of a qualifier. Because it says that he is a tzaddik tamim haya b'dorotav, who was the most righteous of his generation. And of course, if you read on, you learn that the generation wasn't so righteous. You read about how the earth had been corrupt and people had been nasty and terrible, and God makes a decision. God decides that things have gotten too terrible and it's time to wipe out the world. So God says to Noah, okay, build an ark. I'm going to wipe out the world and start again with you and the family. Now, if somebody said that to you, what would you say? You might say, what about my neighbors? What about my friends? What about my colleagues? What does Noah say? How big? He doesn't say anything. He simply begins to build that ark. So what does it mean for us to be righteous? Was Noah righteous when he cared only about his family and himself and built the ark only for him? Perhaps. Sometimes I like to think about righteousness as our obligation to think beyond ourselves, beyond our own expedient concern of what our needs are, and think of the needs of those around us. Because I think the text is calling on us to be a ish tzaddik, to be a person of justice. A person of justice who isn't only bedorotav, in our generation, but simply a person of justice, of right. And I think if we look at our current circumstances and this pandemic and our political situation, that's hard. It's hard to find the ways to follow that just path. What is this? Is this me that's making this noise? Yeah. There we go. Okay. I think that's good. Sorry about that. So it's hard to find that just path, that path that we can pursue a sense of real righteousness. It's hard to know what righteousness is if we care to look at our media and news reports. It's hard to discern what's real and what's not. And so as we look through our text and we read through, we're carefully reminded of that sense of what righteousness really is, of being on the right path. Of doing the right thing. And so let's all try to be, as best we can, the Ish Tzaddik, the righteous people. Shabbat Shalom. And we'll continue with Aleinu, page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula le'yotzer bereshit, shel ho asanu k'goyer haratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shel ho sam chelkeinu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim, u'mishachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imal, u'shchinatu zo, begovei meromim, u'Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efezulato, Kakatuv b'torato, v'yadata hayom b'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim imal, v'aretz mitoch ha'teinot. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Page 293. Our thoughts turn now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. We have the sad news to announce that Kenneth Whaley has passed away. Kenneth was not a member of Temple, but a member of the Jewish community a little outside of Erie. And the funeral for him will be on Sunday at 1 o'clock at the Burton Funeral Home in Girard. We also observe the Yartzites. We also observe the Yartzites this week for William Morris, Meyer Nast, Frida Rosenthal, Richard Goldberg, Lillian Davis, Eva Ostro, Abraham Levy, Clara Kalman, Joseph Falk, Minnie Weil, Samuel W. Rose, Vishal Kurik, Muriel Davis, I, Michael Brown, Jesse Kossel, Adolf Krauss, Israel Shapira, Maria Wizik, Fanny Jacobson, and Bella Schuster. If you have other names to add, please add them into our chat box. We turn together to page 294 for words of Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai echon u'v'yom echon, u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'gala v'zman kariv, v'imru amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. Have very few announcements this evening. Please join us right after our service for our Zoom Oneg. And Gesher continues on Sunday. And we hope that you'll join us tomorrow morning for our Torah study. And we're going to conclude this evening with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Imrama, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Stay safe, stay well. We'll see you all at the Zoom Oneg. Shabbat Shalom.